Don't make it too loud. She says, Deb here. She doesn't want me to pick on her, but I can say her name. It's locked in now. It's locked in. I can learn anything. Welcome. How many of you here have never been to Gilead Healing Center before? How many of you, by show of hands? Like only Jenna, you've been here 500 times, so that's not true. There's Nicole, there's Aunt Judy here, those folks back there, so a handful of you. Awesome. Deb, have you been here before? Oh, yeah. So you've been here before. Here we go. Awesome. Well, if you've never been here, welcome. We're just happy to have you. In case you don't know about Gilead, some people always ask me some questions. Frequently asked FAQ, we're going to start with that. People always ask me the question, probably most frequently is like, is this a church? And the answer is no, it's not a church. It's called Gilead Healing Center. It's a healing center. Yes? Say yes. Yes. Perfect. We're going to get along tonight because you guys are just like, you're on it. Awesome. So by a show of hands now, let's see if you can raise your hand. Just wait, because I haven't asked you any question yet. How many of you here, it's your first time to a dinner with the doc? By a show, unless you have a frozen shoulder, your hand's way up high. Here we go. That's good. That's good. Most of you, that's awesome. Welcome. Very good. I'm happy to, you are welcome to this place. So we're going to start just to make sure here that we have the right information for the right people. Are you ready? So by a show of hands, how many of you here somebody, either yourself, somebody you know has been affected by heart disease? By a show of hands. And I want you to keep your hands up. And now, how many of you here, you know somebody, either yourself, somebody you know has been affected by cancer? 2 hands up. I mean, if you don't know anybody with heart disease or cancer, I guess your hands are down. Now, how many of you here know somebody that is affected by diabetes? Now, if both of your hands are up, you need to stand up. Or you need to put your feet up. Here we go. That's getting better. We're going to have fun tonight. Okay. I know I have the right information for the right people. So that's going to be fun. You can have a seat. You can have a seat. You did good. So over the next, 40 minutes, maybe 35 minutes, 40 minutes, I want to share with you what I believe over the past 25 years that I've been in practice now, what's the most effective, the most natural, the most powerful way to be healthy and to stay healthy while minimizing the deadly effect of chronic illnesses like heart disease or cancer and diabetes, right? And then to also give you an opportunity to be like, hey, what's the next step? This is really what I want, is for you to be asking yourself tonight, say, hey, you know what is the next step for me? If I ask any one of you here tonight and say, how many of you here in the next 12 months you'd like to be healthier than you are now? I've never had anybody saying, I really want to be sicker. Right? People don't say that. They're like, yeah, of course I want to be healthier. Everybody wants to be healthier. But you got to find out what's the next step for you. And I always like to say, and you're going to say this with me here, 3 words. Information. Go ahead. Information leads to action. And when you take action, this leads to transformation. Okay, so our goal here tonight is you don't want to just get information and not taking any action, because this does not lead to transformation. You follow me? So when you leave this place, I don't want you to say, hey, that was pretty good information. Because if you just have the information, but yet you don't take any action, we're not going anywhere. Does that make sense? Is that a deal? I want you to be thinking like, okay, when I walk out of this place here, what's going to be next for me? And I'm telling you that there's a next step for all of you here. It doesn't matter where you're at on this journey. Some of you have been here before. Maybe you've heard me. And maybe you're like, hey, I've heard this before. And I want you to ask yourself, as we're going through this, I want you to ask yourself and say, self, how am I applying this into my life right now? Is that fair enough? There's 2 kinds of people that goes to the gym. I'm a big fan of training. I've trained my whole life. I'm 52 years old, be 53 soon. And when I go to the gym, there's 2 kinds of people that I see. There's this first kind, they usually go in the locker room and they just read the paper, and after an hour, they go take a shower and they go to work. I know you guys cannot relate, but let's just pretend that you've heard of those people. And then you actually have people, they put their shorts on and they're going to go physically, they're going to go work out. Who do you think is going to get the most out of it in the next 90 days? A or B? Thank you. Those are the B people. All of you here tonight are going to be the B people. Fair enough? And what that means is, if you're going to be the B people, that means we're moving along on this transformation journey. Yes or yes? He's laughing and he's like, yeah, of course. I mean, is there any other answers? There is no answers. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. Some of you, maybe you've heard it before. Some of you, maybe you just forgot about the story, but unless you know the story, it's not going to make much sense to you. I was born and raised in Montreal, Canada, right on the south shore of Montreal on a farm. My parents had a farm, it was about a couple hundred acres, and we grew vegetables. When my parents married, my mom was 17 years old, my father was 22 years old, and when they married, my mom did not know that my father had problems with his blood sugar because he never told her. And what happened is one day as my father was on the ground, my mom thought he was dead. And then she rushed him to the hospital. And by the time they got to the hospital, right, my father is in a deep coma at the time, but my mom doesn't know that. And by the time he got there and they started to take care of him, 48 hours later, when my father came out of the hospital, they told him that he was a diabetic. So at the age of 22 years old, my father started to give himself a shot of insulin every morning at 6 a.m. And then back in the days, they only had this long-acting insulin. If you know what that means. If you don't, just don't worry about it. But by the time his blood sugar would start coming down in the afternoon, my father would start eating cake, cookies, candies, and ice cream, just so he wouldn't pass out. My dad was also a smoker. He smoked 100 cigarettes a day. And if you never smoke, it's 4 packs, right? He would start in the morning, would be smoking all day long until he hits, the pillow at night. That's what he did every day. And by the time my father was 30 years old, he developed this condition called peripheral neuropathy. And if you don't know what that is it's quite common today. Lots of people have peripheral neuropathy. Many people don't even know they have it. But basically what that is, if I was to give you giving you some symptoms, people feel like they're walking on rubber. Some people feel like they're walking on broken glasses. Some people have numbness and tingling down their legs. Some people have pain. Some people don't sleep at night because their legs hurt all the time. So my father, at the age of 30, had peripheral neuropathy. You could literally take a knife and just jab him in his legs and he would start bleeding, and he did not even know it was happening to him. In less than 5 years, my father was 3/4 blind. And the reason why this happened is because when you don't monitor your blood sugar properly, the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to have this thing called age. Have you ever heard of this term, age? You're going to have this thing called advanced glycation end product. So what that means is when you don't monitor your blood sugar properly, you start aging much faster. And when you have glycation into your blood, then you just get older much faster. You're just speeding the process at which you're getting older and your body's breaking down. So what happens is when you're a diabetic, you don't manage your blood sugar properly, what's going to happen is you're going to lose your sight. So at the age of 35 years old, my father was 3/4 blind. The reason I remember that clearly, at 35 years old, he would come into the bedroom in the morning at 4:30 a.m. Because remember, farmers, they get up early, right? And he would say, son, it's time to get up. And I'd be like, I was 5 years old at the time, and I'm like, what for? And then he would say, son, you're gonna be driving the tractor. I'm gonna tell you where to go, and I'll be standing next to you because I can't see. 1 year later, by the time he was 36 years old, my dad was completely blind. And then what happened is because, this man had been working his entire life, and now he couldn't work anymore because he was blind. So then what happened is he lost 40 pounds really quickly, just like that. And then he got depressed. And then he was confined to the house because he couldn't do anything anymore. And by the time he was confined to the house, he was really skinny, couldn't do anything, so spent a lot of time in bed. And then because he was a diabetic, then what happened is he started to, when you start rolling from one side to the other and you're really skinny, then he started to develop bed sores. And when it first started, it was about the size of a quarter. And in a matter of 6 months, the quarter was like this big around. You could literally see every single layer of the flesh all the way down to the bone. And when it first started, it was just on the right side. And the doctor would come in once a week with his little black bag. He would go up the stairs, main floor, go right into the bedroom. And then as the doctor is walking and is right next to the bed taking care of my dad, all 5 of us siblings, right, my 4 siblings and myself, were right around the bed, we're watching. And then what happened is the doctor would be taking off that piece of gauze there in the tape. And as he's taking this off, it's all yellow. And the reason why it's yellow, in case you don't know, is it was all infected, right? And then what happened is they would clean this up, and then they would put some new ointment there and put another piece of tape on until the next visit. And the doctor would come in and weeks out. My father turned to be 40 years old. This was July 12, 1982. And at the age of 40, as you can imagine, he was not doing a whole lot. What happened is he would come into the living room. Somebody would spoon feed him, either my older sister or my mom at the time. And this would happen a couple hours a day. And then he would go right back in bed. And then go back in bed and do the same thing for 20 hours and roll from one side to the other. And what happened is 3 months later, right? This is September now. It's mid-September. And one day he wasn't feeling well. So my mother decided to call the ambulance. And when the ambulance came in, the 2 paramedics comes up and they walk into the house. They go up the stairs with that little stretcher. They go right into the bedroom. And by the time they got into the bedroom, they assess my father, right? They're checking him out. And then they're looking back at my mom out the door. And they're telling my mom that they need to take him in. And my mom already knew this. So they're like, whatever needs to be done. So they load him up on the stretcher, they roll him out, and as they're rolling him out, the 2 paramedics passed my mom, they passed, us 5 kids were right here, and they're rolling him out. And as they're rolling him out, I looked at my mother, and I asked my mom, I said, where are they taking Dad? I remember at that time I was 9 years old, and I asked my mother, I asked her that same question twice, and she didn't answer. So what happened is at the age of 9 years old, right? That's when I realized that being a good provider was not the most important thing. You see, people think that, just going to give you a jab to the man in the room here, because that's usually this applies to the man, but it can apply to women too, right? That people think they're like, hey, if I don't provide for my family, this is what's most important. But I would dare to tell you tonight that if you don't have your health, it's even more important, because if you don't have your health, you can't provide. You follow me? Right? So what I realized at the age of 9 years old is when people lose their health, they don't know how to get it back. And when they have their health, they don't know how to keep it. So I've been in this town now for 25 years. I've been taking care of tens of thousands of people over 25 years. And guess what? It's always the same story. The story is being repeated. People lose their health. They don't know how to get it back. When they have their health, they don't know how to keep it. Do you follow me? Right? So that's the reason why I'm here in front of you tonight, because of what I have seen and the commitment that I've made at that moment in time in my life, that I'm just like, hey, you know what? If I have anything to say, I don't want this to happen for people. Do you follow me? So if I were to ask all of you here tonight, and remember, you're the B people, so you're entitled and you're allowed to just blurb out your answers. If I say, hey, you know what? Do you think that we live in a healthy country? What would you say? Even when people don't know anything about health, for some reason, they're going to say no. And if I ask you the second question and say, hey, you know what? We don't live in a healthy country. And if I was to say to you, well, why do you think that is? Just give me some, why do you think? America needs Jesus, yeah? What else? Processed food, what else? Pesticides, yeah, what else? Government, okay. What else? No nutrients in the soil. Not taking responsibility. That's a good one. But I'm going to give you some numbers here right now, because this is kind of I just like numbers. Anybody like numbers besides me? Okay. This guy here, he's just laughing. I don't know why, but let me give you some numbers. Are you ready? I'll just give you a few of them. So the number 1 killer in this country right now is heart disease and stroke. There's 980,000 people that died every year from heart disease and stroke, year after year after year after year. Those last statistics came out of 2022. Just short of 1 million people dying from heart disease and stroke every year. The cost of that is $240 billion per year. Not million, but billion with a B. You follow me? The second reason why people die today in this country is there's 600,000 people that die from cancer every year. There's 1.7 million people that are diagnosed with cancer. And the cost of cancer in this country right now is $250 billion with a B. And this happens every year, year after year after year after year. That's number two. There's 38 million people that have diabetes in this country. There's 97 million that they have diabetes, but they don't know yet because they haven't been diagnosed. And the cost of that, by the time it's 2030, it's going to be $540 billion per year. Do you know that 20 years ago when I used to teach this here, I used to tell people that there's like 20% of the people in this country that are considered to be obese. But today in 2025, today as we speak, as I'm talking in front of you right now, 40% of the people in this country are considered to be obese, and over 75% are overweight. There's 42% of our kids that are obese right now as we speak. Many of them are being like, hey, you know what? You cannot serve in the military because you're fat. Do you follow me? Never seen before. So now, innately, you already knew that, this country, we have like the best doctors, the best nurse, the best science, the best of everything, but yet our health's not so good. And then number two is the reason for that is many of you have blurred, many of them, but this responsibility thing is really important. This lady here, she just touched on that here a minute ago, but I think that this should be like at the top of the list is taking responsibility for our health is really important. In 25 years, when I ask the question, who's responsible for your health, what do people say? The vast majority of the time, people say, well, I am. However, taking responsibility for your health, but then how do you apply that? When people go to the doctor and they have a problem and then they're expecting the doctor to make them better by giving them this little piece of paper there with the script on and giving you the next prescription medication. My question to you, would that be like, is that what taking responsibility for our health is? I'm going to ask you this one question here tonight, which is really important. And I'm going to say to you, do you think that you're healthier if you take more drugs or less drugs? What do you think? That was not a trick question, just so you know. Right? Obviously. And then number two, now listen to number two, this is also important, is to have the right information. Having the right information is important because today you have Dr. Googles, right? All of you here have Dr. Googles. And of course, people come in and they've already looked at Dr. Googles and they know everything. And then you have artificial intelligence. And then you know what people do now, what they like to do, to me, this is like really torture now, that's the new thing, is people are sending me reels. They want me to watch the reels, to give them medical advice. Because, of course, if you watch that reel for 30 seconds, must be true. Right? So let's just say that you have a brand new map of Michigan. It's brand new, just been printed out today. But you're right in the middle of New York City. Would you be able to find your way around, even if the map is brand new? He's laughing. He knows exactly. He's like, well, it doesn't matter if it's brand new. I mean, this is the wrong map. You got to have the right information. Every time that there's a car accident right here on Kreitz Road, the cops are always there, so therefore it must be the cops' fault. What would you say if I say that to you? It's a good thing we have a comedian here in the room. But back 50 plus years ago, it's called the Framingham Heart Study. You can go look this up, right? And what they found is they were looking at people that had heart disease. They wanted to know why. And here's what they found at the end is what they decided, they're like, every time people have heart disease, their cholesterol is high. So therefore, cholesterol must be the bad guy. So now from this moment on in time, people have been eating less cholesterol, less fat than ever before, but yet we're fatter than we've ever been. And there's more people dying from heart disease and cancer than ever before. But yet we've been eating less fat than ever before. I want you to think of that for a minute. So this thing right now this is important. Is like, how do you know that you have the right information? And most people don't know. Because where do you get your information? You get your information on watching reels. Because that's what people do. So tonight, really what I want to share with you is I started to do this 20 plus years ago, and my wife's, she's like, why don't you just do it? Because you just do better than me. So then I was stuck. Because when we first started to do this, it was called the 3 paradigm of health. And what that means is, how do you define health Every one of you here tonight, how do you define health? If I ask you, I want you to write down the definition of health. How do you define health from that moment on in time? Every one of your decisions is going to be based on that. So a paradigm is how you define something, and then based on how you define that something, everything that you do from this point on in your life, it's going to be based on that. So what that means is there's really 3 different paradigms of health, and I want to teach you that tonight. Would that be good? Should you know that? Say yes. Yeah, you should. You should, because most people don't. So the first paradigm of health is people define their health based on, it's called our healthcare disease. You know, it's called our healthcare system today in the United States, right? And our healthcare system is, if we feel fine, then we're fine. And then when we don't feel fine, we're going to go see the doctor. And then likely the doctor is going to do 1 or 2 things. Tell me, what is the doctor going to do? Likely that, we're going to find out which symptoms that you have. And based on your symptoms, we're going to give you a diagnosis. And based on the diagnosis, we're going to give you a what? We're going to give you some sort of pill, because now we have a diagnosis, we have numbers, and then now we're going to start managing your numbers with that pill. Do you follow me? So do you think that people have high blood pressure because they have a lack of high blood pressure pill in their brain? Yes or no? Do people have headaches because they don't have, enough ibuprofen in their brain? Yes or no? Yes or no? Listen to me here for a minute. This is really, really important. Because when people have diarrhea, there's a pill for that. If you're constipated, there's a pill for that. If you're not happy, there's a pill for that. If you're too happy, there's a pill for that. Your cholesterol is too high, we got a pill for that. Your blood pressure is too high, there's a pill for that. It's too low, we're going to pill for that. Do you follow me? So in this first paradigm of health is we're like, hey, listen, when I have a problem, I'm going to go see a doctor. He's going to fix me. Because your definition of health is like, hey, you know what? When there's a problem, that means there's a lack of chemicals in my body, and I'm just going to see the doctor, and he's going to take care of business. So what happened is, in this country right now as we speak, even if we were to give, for free, every drugs and do surgery to everybody for free, we would still not be healthy. You see what I'm saying? Because if you were to take your cholesterol pill, you're taking your blood sugar pill. Now listen to me here for a minute. Let's say you're taking your blood sugar pill, you're taking your metformin, and you're like, Dr. Jean-Guy, get up in the morning, my blood sugar is at 110. It's really, really good. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. But I don't say that to people. And the reason why I don't say that is because most people don't know any better. They're like, the doctor said those numbers are really good. And I'm like, well, if your numbers were that good, I mean, if you were to be like truly healthy, would you have to take the metformin? Yes or no? Yes or no? The answer is no. No, 0 times 0. If a person was truly healthy, you'd get up in the morning, your blood sugar would be at 100 or less. Yes or yes? Yeah, because that's how your body was designed to work. You follow what I'm saying? That's the first paradigm. The second paradigm is almost like even more dangerous. Are you following? This is paradigm number 2. Those are people that say, hey, you know what? I don't like to take those drugs. So I'm going to wait until I have symptoms. When I have symptoms, I'm going to do something that is natural. So I'm going to have a cold. I'm going to go to the health food store and I'll go get some kind of pill, whatever they tell me to take, and I'll just go home, take some of those pills, right? Whether I'm going to do those essential oil, those pills, those homeopathic, and then when I feel better, okay, I'm done with that. You follow me? I got to lose 20 pounds because I'm going to put my Speedo on there at spring break. So I'm going to do whatever needs to be done, right? Crash course on just losing this fat. And then what happened is you come back from spring break and then you put 40 pounds back on. Yes? Or even better, there's people that are like, hey, you know what, Dr. Jean-Guy, can you just, like, my neck is just killing me right now. Can you just crack my neck? Can you just crack my neck this one time so I can feel better? And then I'm done with it. You follow me? When people, hang out in this paradigm number 2, what happened is everything that is done, it's only based on symptoms. I'm going to give you a little story. You ready? Is that possible a person could have cancer and they don't know they have it? Is that possible a person could feel fine, they don't know they don't know that they have a problem? Is that possible? Right? My cousin Emil, he was 55 years old when he went to the doctor. He went for his physical exam. They took blood out of him. And when they did, they found out that he had some kidney filtration problem. So as a result of that, they're like, listen, we're going to do an ultrasound of your kidney. And they did. And after the ultrasound, they didn't like what they saw. So they're like, we're going to do biopsy of your kidney. And they did that too. After the biopsy, he came back from the pathologist. They told him that he had cancer. And the doctor said to him, he's like, no problem. I'm going to send you over to the surgeon. He's going to cut you open, going to go in there, going to clean you up. You should be okay. The surgeon went in there, cut him open, started to look around, find out a cancer has spread out everywhere in his body. They sew him back up, give him 6 months to live, into the day 6 months later, he was dead. My cousin Emil was 55 years old. He had never been sick. He felt fine, didn't miss work. He didn't have any symptoms. But yet, just like that, he was gone. Do you follow me? Some of you are nodding because you're like, hey, I know people just like that. So what I want you to know is when you hang out right here, not having any symptoms doesn't mean a person is healthy. Does that make sense? Right? And then here we're getting to the last. And before I just defined, I'm going to give you some. If you were to look up right now, I don't want you to do that right now because I'm sure that Dr. Google could tell you that, but just wait. You can do it after. But if you go according to the World Health Organization, they look at the definition of health, and here's what it says. It says health is when you have 100% function, and then it goes on to say physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. So when you leave today, you're going to go look this up. According to the World Health Organization, it says that when a person is healthy is when you have 100% function in your body, and it goes on to say physically, mentally, socially, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. Do you follow me? You got to have 100% function. Your body has to function 100%. Does it say that your body has to function 100% with your blood pressure pill? Yes or no? Does it? Yes or no? Thank you. Right? Thank you. You have to understand what health means. Health means is when your body is working 100% physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. So what that means is even when people have symptoms, that doesn't mean that they don't have their health. Do you follow me? That is really important. So how many of you here believe that you should exercise? How many of you? By show of hands. A few of you here, you're just too tired. Maybe you should go exercise. Right? All of you here, raise your hand. How long do you think you should exercise for? How long? Not how many minutes a day, but for how long in your life? Forever. Thank you. Forever. What a concept. Forever. You're telling me that you're going to start something and you're never going to stop it? That's interesting. How many of you here believe that you should just put real food into your body? How many of you believe that? Like real food, like food. Food is defined as if there's a label on it, it's not food. How many of you here believe that the more food you put in your body, the healthier you'll be? How many of you believe that? How many of you here believe that you should do this here for, for a long time? How many of you believe that? This is not a trick question. I'm just being serious. How long should you just be eating, food in your life? For forever. Thank you. Forever. Not just one day, right? Like eating Doritos, this is not food, just so you know. Just in case you did not know that. When you eat cake, cookies, candies, ice cream, bread, rice, pasta, that's not food, in case you did not know that. Right? What happened is when it's destroyed and when it's man-made and it's devoid from nutrient, I want you to think of this here for a minute. I was just at a conference out west, and this presenter guy, he was just showing this slide there in food science. They do those studies that they're like 50 years ago, you were eating one apple. That was the organic apple. And today in 2025, you need to have 5 organic apples. I want you to think of that for a minute. It's pretty amazing that people go to fast food restaurant and they're still standing after 40 years when they've done that every day. Yes? Yes, people do that every day. Every day, people do that. Every day. Do you know that those companies, they hire scientists to make sure that when you put this in your mouth that you become addicted to it? Did you know that? Right? So this being said, right, in this paradigm of health, what that means is you need to be moving. And you need to be moving every day, and you need to do this for the rest of your life. Matter of fact, there's a Nobel Prize winner back in the 80s that says that 90% of brain nutrition has to do with proper motion of your joints. I'm going to say this again. Are you ready? Maybe you might want to write it down, or maybe you might want to commit this to memory. 90% of brain nutrition has to do with proper motion of your joints. This is one of your joint. Yes, this is one of your joint. Yes, this is one of your joint. Yes. Whoa, I'm not sure what happened here. So there's lots of joints in your body, in your spine. There's 24 bones in your spine, and nervous system, yes. 24 bones. There's 31 pairs of nerves, yes. Did you know that the joints that have the greatest impact on brain function is the upper neck area? Did you know that? There's probably very few of you that knew that. Did you know that the greatest impact on brain function is the upper cervical area? And the reason for that is because you have the greatest number of mechanoreceptors per square inch, which means nothing to you. And it means nothing to this guy, right? It means nothing to most of you here, but I'm going to tell you right now that if you don't move, you're going to die. Motion is life. Motion is lotion, right? So that's number one. You got to move. Sitting on the couch watching TV, moving your eyes, that doesn't count. It just doesn't count. I'm just telling you it doesn't count. Number two is you need to put food in your body. So what that means is you got to put more food. And how do we define food? That was not a trick question. I said, hey, you know what? We define food as like when there's a label on it, that means that it's man-made. It's man-made. When I say cake, cookies, candies, ice cream, people are okay with that. And then I go bread, rice, pasta. They're like, what are you talking about? What about this pizza that I eat every day? I mean, this is good stuff. This is like the best nutrition. Right? That's right. It's got tomatoes. Right? Those genetically modified tomatoes. Just to make sure that I'm not going to say it. So that's number two. You follow me? That's junk. Okay, so we're going to talk about this later. So here we have movement, we have putting food in our body, and then we have this thing is like what we're putting into our mind. You got to think well. You got to eat well, you got to move well, and you got to think well. You got to be around people that loves you and you can love them back, and they should be feeling safe around you and you should be feeling safe around them. When you read a book, it should just bring you up instead of taking you down. Yes, some of your family members, you need to maybe not hang out with them so much because they might not be the best for you. Do you follow me? Did you know that we already know this in science, that you can think of your diseases? People come in, they're like, hey, that's my blood pressure. That's my fibromyalgia. That's my diabetes. I'm like, well, it's not yours. You might have symptoms of, but that's not yours. But it could be yours if you want to make it yours, right? But you also know that people can see themselves being healthy. You can see yourself. You can see that in a PET scan. Matter of fact, you can see that in people's brain. You can see the entire physiology of people changing. So you got to be able to eat well, to move well, to also to think well, right? And so for a person to be healthy, you got to be able to make sure your body's working 100% function. And guess what controls all the function in your body? Who can tell me? Right? There's 70 trillion cells in your body. How many? How many cells in your body? 70 trillion cells. Those cells are in charge of controlling every single function of your body. So for your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, your stomach to digest food, the information has to go from your brain through your spinal cord out the nerves to every organ, tissue, cells in your body. Now, there's many of you here tonight, I've already detected that you're into food because you already made a lot of comments about food. You know, you're like, hey, food is really important. And I mean, guess what? I agree. She's like, I love food. Now, check this out here for you foodies. Are you ready? So let's say that you put some organic food into your body. And let's say that your brain is not capable of sending the right message at the right time to your stomach to produce digestive enzyme to break it down. Do you think that your body's going to be able to assimilate as well? Yes or no? Even if it's the best food, if your brain cannot send the right message at the right time in order to produce those digestive enzymes, even if it's the best food, even if it's organic food, but you can't process it and you can't digest it and you cannot assimilate it, are you going to be able to get the best out of it? Yes or no? The answer is no. So that's kind of important to understand. Your brain is in charge of controlling and coordinating every single function in your body. So for your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, your stomach to digest food, right? The information has to flow from your brain through your spinal cord out the nerves to every organ, tissue, cells in your body. How about that? That's kind of cool, isn't it? How many cells in your body? 70 trillion cells with a T. And your brain, she wrote it down. She was trying to read it, but I was just faster than her, so I just said it. There are 70 trillion cells because I practiced this a little bit today, right? Maybe once or twice. And your brain is in charge of controlling and coordinating every single thing in your body. Now, did you know that you have to go from 100% function all the way down to 60% function before a person starts having symptoms? I'm going to say this again. You have to go from 100% function all the way down to 60% function before a person starts having symptoms. So do you think it's a good idea for all of you here tonight to just wait until you don't feel good? But how many people do that every day, right? They're like, I'm fine. I feel fine. And my favorite line is, hey, there's a lot of people, they just dropped dead and they felt fine. Do you follow me? So what I want you to know before you leave this place, that you being healthy has nothing to do with how you feel. Do I want you to feel good? The answer is yes. But if a person was to go to the restaurant and they eat bad food and they walk out of the restaurant and they just puke because the food was bad, is a person sick or they're healthy? Very good. That was not a trick question. She looked at me twice. She's like, is that a trick question? Right? But Aunt Judy here, she's looking at me. She's like, well, that sounds like I'm sick. And I'm like, no. Because if it's bad, your body doesn't want to keep it in. It just want to have it out. Do you understand what I mean? If you were to have a virus inside of you and your body doesn't like that, and then your body starts cranking up the temperature to 103, 104, would you be sick or you'd be healthy? Some of you, you're thinking real hard. They're like, he's a little tricky right now. Right? And I tell people, I look at them and I'm like, well, that's great. You should have a fever and it should go straight up. Because guess what? Some of those bugs in your body, the only way that you can get rid of them is when you increase your core temperature. Do you follow me? So when you take your Tylenol and you're trying to bring the fever down because you're like, oh, little Johnny, I think he's going to die right now. You know, I got to give him something. Because people call me. They don't call me. They just call me, text me, email me all at the same time. I don't know how they do that. They're like, Dr. Jean-Guy, what do I do with little Johnny? I'm like, nothing. But Dr. Jean-Guy's fever is going up. What do you do? Nothing. Really? How about that? Do you understand that if you don't know what health is, right, then you're never going to be healthy because you don't know what you don't know. Do you follow me? And then what happened is people make bad decisions one after another. The latest bad decision. Now, you ready? You're probably not going to like it, but I'm going to tell you because I have to tell you. Bad decision that people make right now is they have their mask on the sidewalk by themselves. That's a very bad decision. They put a mask on the sidewalk by themselves. Or they're in their car and they have their mask on. Now listen to me here for a minute. Obviously, those folks are scared. And people can do whatever they want. But I'm going to tell you right now that if you want your immune system to work the way it was meant to work, you have to be exposed to the environment. Because this is a true statement that if it's not going to kill you, it's going to make you stronger. And what happened is you want to give every opportunity to your immune system to become stronger. You want to have the exposure so your immune system has a surveillance system. And when it's being exposed, what happened is it's adapting to the environment and it becomes stronger and stronger. Do you follow me? Guess who's in charge of that? Your immune system. There's studies, right? It's called neuropsychoimmunology that says that your nervous system controls your immune system. So you have this surveillance system that is in charge of doing this. Do you follow me? So you want to let your body do that so you can become healthier. Because you got to understand that you are healthy when your body is working 100%. And then it goes on to say physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. Do you follow me? Now, if you don't know how to define health for you, every decision you make in your life from this point on, it's going to be based on how you define this health thing. Do you follow me? Now what controls the show is this guy here. Your brain is in charge of controlling how many cells? 70 trillion cells. How many of you here? There's only a few of you that looks like you're 12, but the rest of you are a little bit older. How many of you remember Christopher Reeves, the old Superman? Right? When Superman fell off the horse, right, he broke his neck the following day. He was in a what? He was in a wheelchair. Then what happened? He couldn't use his arm, couldn't use his leg. Did he ever damage either one of those? Yes or no? The answer is no. And the reason for that is because he had damage right here. right? He had damage right here. So when you shut down that life energy from going from your brain to the rest of the body, guess what's going to happen? Are things going to work right or not? Obviously not. So then what happened is he had a pacemaker. It was hard to beat. He had a respirator for him to be able to breathe. And then he had somebody pushing on his colon every single day for him to have bowel movement because he couldn't do that on his own. Yes or yes? And within a few years, again, guess what happened? Right? Within a few years, he was gone. So when things are not functioning properly, then your body, it doesn't matter, right? Your body is never going to be the best that it can be. So I want to give you what happened is when you have damage to your spine and nervous system. Now, listen to me here for a minute. When I say damage to your spine and nervous system, most people think, right? They're like, I'm fine. Don't have any problem. But there's this thing called macro trauma and micro trauma. So what does that mean? That means that you were never designed to sit. And all of you are seated right now, and you're like, he's killing us, right? Because I'm not moving. You should be moving your fingers right now, right? You were never designed to sit 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 20 years. Never designed for that, ever. You were never designed for people to not putting real food into their body. But as it relates to trauma, when a person's been in a car accident or a person have been playing sports when they were younger and they have a concussion or 2 or maybe 10 of them, or maybe your parents just drop you off the bed, which, you don't know if it really happened, but it could have, it happens. Even if you're the best parents, when you have many kids, you just don't know what you're doing in the middle of the night. You just drop them, right? I'm sure that some of you don't know, but she says, yes, she didn't want me to call her out, but I'm just going to say this young lady right here. It happens. So what happened is when people, things that are repetitive in nature, they had big accident, what happened is your spine starts breaking down and your nervous system starts breaking down. And when you have those micro trauma, things are not going to work the way they used to work. Do you follow me? So then when you don't have this life energy that goes from the brain to the rest of the body or from the body back up to the brain and can give you this garbage in, garbage out. Do you follow me? It's just like a computer. So we had this lady, her name is Ann. She's like 65 years old when she came in. I think she's around 65. She might be a little bit older. And when she came in, she had some problem with her back. She's got some sciatic problem. And then we put her through a course of corrective care. And when it was all said and done, she was all better. She was so happy. But at the exam, you know what she said to me? She's like, hey, you know what? I didn't tell you that because I didn't think you could help me with that. But I had this bladder incontinence. She was just peeing her pants. And she's like, I don't have that anymore. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Right? How many of you would like to just walk around, just pee your pants? Right? She's laughing and she's like, hey, listen, this is not funny when it's you. It's not funny when it's you. This lady there, her name was Kim. This is first time in practice about 20 some years ago on a Saturday morning. She's like, walks into the office. She said, hey, can you adjust me right here? And I'm like, who's the doctor here? Is that me or you? She's like, well, I just want you to know that every time that my back is out of alignment right there, I have acid reflux. And when my chiropractor adjusted me, I just moved here from Canada. I get an adjustment and then guess what? Goes away. And I'm like, okay, I think you're hired. Think about that for a minute. This young lady came in. Her name was Victoria. She's 16 years old, right? And she's got headaches, and we take care of a lot of people with headaches. Lots of people with headaches. People have neck pain. They have back pain. They have numbness, tingling, weakness of their grip, sciatic problem, back pain, every day. That's what we do. And those people get better. But this lady comes in. She's got headaches, and then, again, they just hide stuff. So after a month, right, she comes in with her mom, and her mom says, well, Victoria is much better from her headache, but there's something else going on that I did not tell you about. I'm like, well, what's that? She's like, well, when she's been diagnosed with clinical depression. And every time she walks into the house, right, she goes right into her bedroom, doesn't talk to us. And since you've been adjusting her, not only her headaches are better, but now she comes in, she starts talking to us, which has never happened now since she's been diagnosed. Think about that for a minute. People that have damage to their spine and nervous system right here, this has everything to do with attention, focus, concentration. Yes? Anybody has any problem with that? Attention, focus, concentration. Yes or no? Lots of people have problems with that. They're like, you know what? I'm losing my mind. And Judy says, that's right. I didn't say it. She said it. Attention, focus, concentration. Guess what? Because guess what happened? Guess what feeds your brain the most? is this area right here, right below your skull bone. This is called C1, C2. And when those areas are not functioning properly, then what happened is, your brain is not being fed. You follow me? Matter of fact, this is so important. Do you know what happened to Christopher Reeves? I'm going to tell you a second time, and just in case you missed it. When he fell off his horse, guess what broke? It was right here. Right in his upper neck area. Yes? Yes or yes? The answer was yes. So now what I want you to get out of this here, we're going to move on, but I'm going to tell you one more time. There's how many cells in your body? And those cells are controlled by whom? By your brain. Thank you. So when your brain is not capable of sending the right message at the right time, guess what happened to the rest of the body? Is it going to function right? Yes or no? Thank you. So I always tell people, I'm like, most people don't know that. They don't know that your body needs to function 100%. Physically, mentally, socially, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. And what controls the show in your body is your brain and nervous system, in case you did not know that. And I always like to tell people, and I'm going to tell you tonight, when it comes down to your health, you can do whatever you want because that's your health. But just imagine for a minute right now that whatever problems that you have, or maybe you don't have yet, and you don't do anything about it, and you just wait. Do you think it's going to get better or worse? 100% of the time. Knowing that something could have been done. And for some of you, what that means is maybe you can go play with your grandkids. Maybe you can go with your wife on a trip that you would really like to do, but you don't know if you're physically capable of doing it. Some people, they're just waiting for their next doctor's appointment because they can't go anywhere. They just have to stay. They're bound to their house, right? And what that means to people, it means different things to different people. And every one of you here, you just have different goals and dreams and things that you want to do. But oftentimes, people in the back of their mind, they're like, can I really do that? Some people, they just want to run a 5K, but yet they can't do that because they're not strong enough to do it. You follow me? Right? That's why tonight, before we have this meal, I want to offer you this wellness breakthrough evaluation. Right? It's called the wellness breakthrough evaluation if you've never had one. Right? There's multiple things that we do when people come to the office, whether it's here at Gilead or our office on the other side of town. But the first thing that we do is I do this thing. It's called the consultation. It's kind of let me just tell you about this consultation thing because I hear this a lot. People are like, I go to the doctor and, they don't even talk to me. They don't even ask me anything. They didn't even take 3 seconds with me to find out what's going on with me, what my health concerns are. So we do this thing called the consultation, which means I ask people a lot of questions because I want to know. I want to know what's their concern. What's your health concern and how can we get to where you want to be? And where you want to be means different things to all of you here in this room. And then after that, what we do is we're going to do a very in-depth evaluation of your spine and nervous system. And I cannot tell you, after 25 years, people have come and they're like, I've been to oftentimes many other places, but they've never had that done, right? So once we do a spinal examination, orthopedic examination of your spine and nervous system, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take pictures of your posture. Now, let me tell you a little bit about your posture. Number one is you have a bad posture because I've looked at all of you, right? This lady is like, are you for real? I'm just kidding. But maybe you do. People are like, Dr. Janki, I already know I have a bad posture. Look at this bump back there. I'm like, yeah. Did you know that in the medical literature, I always tell people, I'm like, you come into this world like this and you leave like that too. So when you slouch and your head is forward and your shoulders are forward, because guess what? People sit all day and they're like this for the past 20 years. So then you end up looking like that. You're like 25, but you look like you're 50. Because your posture is an insight to your spine and nervous system. A lot can be said about a person's posture. And then number 3 is we're going to do some advanced biomechanical digital x-rays. And the reason why we do this, because when we lift the hood, then we can go on the inside, and then you can find out how those joints are moving or not moving, and how your spine is shaped, and if it's the way that it was designed to. Because guess what? Your spine, just like your blood pressure, there's a normal. In case you did not know that. There's a normal. And you can tell if a person have had injuries, you can tell how long it's been there for, how much damage there is, and can that still be corrected, yes or no? When a person has some adult spinal deformity, this is as bad as a person having heart disease or having rheumatoid arthritis, or any of those lifestyle diseases. It's as bad, if not worse, for a person's longevity. So this is that important. If any one of you here tonight, you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to the emergency right now. And Judy really wants to go to the emergency. Let's just pretend here for a moment that they're going to be taking, a full set of x-rays of your back. Just like we're going to do in our wellness breakthrough evaluation. How much do you think they charge you for that? Give me some numbers. She says big bucks. Give me some numbers. $1,000. That's a lot of money, right? But if it was needed, would that be okay? If it was warranted, would that be okay? Say yes. Yeah, of course. Of course. That was not a trick question. When people come to our office, we do this entire evaluation. When a person comes in, let's just pretend they don't have any insurance. Right? We charge people $320 for the whole thing. Right? It takes them all the way through the report of findings, and the report of findings of the doctor's report. I teach people what's going on with you, giving you the information, the knowledge, so you can make the best decision for you. Because who's responsible for your health? Thank you. You are, for sure. Right? She's like, I know. You are. That's the reason why. Right? That's the reason why. Just think about this here for a minute. If you've never had one of those evaluations tonight, right? When you sign up for your evaluation, we do that for $69. And the reason why we do this is because, now listen to me here for a minute. If you don't understand this here, this is really important. Do you remember September 14, 1982? September 14, 1982, when my father left that day, right? He was on the stretcher. He just walked, he was laying down on the stretcher with those two paramedics. And as he's coming right in front of me, right? I was 9 years old. My brother was 8 years old. My other brother was 7 years old. My sister was 11, 13 years old. My mother just turned like 35, I think. And guess what? I never saw my dad again. Right? My father had a heart attack on his way to the hospital. And if my dad would have been sitting right here tonight, right, 10 years prior to him dying, 10 years prior to, the chances are he would have seen me getting married. He would have seen his grandkids growing up and his grandkids. He would have been able to see them play sports. But you know what? That never happened because nobody has ever taken the time to really tell him really what health was all about, because he didn't know any better. Do you follow me? And most people don't. People don't know what they don't know. And that's the reason why. So when you sign up for your evaluation, it's $69. You can sign up for yourself. You can sign up for family members. It's open to you that are here or you that are not here. But that's the reason why I do this, because people don't know what they don't know. Is that fair? I want to tell you this. We're going to be bringing the food out. I'm going to pray for the food. And then it's going to be some tricky stuff that's going to happen, because we're going to bring some bread right in the middle of the table, and I'm going to watch who's going to eat it. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to watch. I'm just going to leave. Okay?
We love bread.
And Judy says, I love bread. But I'm going to tell you this last little story that I want to tell you. Some of you have heard it before, but I want to tell you again, because it's that important. And you understand why. All right, there was a family. There were 4 of them. Husband and wife, and then their kids. And every time that there's a birthday, they always go to the restaurant. They have their meal, they fellowship, and then whomever is the birthday, they just pull out this piece of paper. And the son 1 year was 19 years old, so he's got 19 wishes. And he starts sharing this with his family. On the same year, the father turns to be 49 years old, and he pulls out this piece of paper. They have this meal. They had an amazing meal, fellowship together as a family. It's like a ritual. They've done this every year, year after year, right? So the father pulls this thing out, and then he starts reading, right? He's got 49 wishes. This year, I want to travel in Europe with my wife. This year, I want to finish my book. This year, I want to go with my family. I want to go hiking. And he's got 49 of those. And what happened is the next year, unbeknown to him, his wife is just getting ready for the big party. He's going to be 50 years old. So she started telling about all of his friends. There's about 100 of them. They're all invited, and they have confirmed that they're going to be there. And he doesn't know any of that. She rents out this big place that fits 100 people. And he's thinking, you know what? We're going to be doing business just like we've done all the other years, right? He's getting ready for it. He's excited. He's going to be 50 years old. He walks into the place and there's 100 people there and they're like, ta-da! And they're all clapping and they're like, hey, we are here for you. You're 50 years old. So they're having this meal. Same thing again. They have the meal, they have the fellowship, they have the dessert, they have everything. And when it's all said and done, they do what they've always done. And he gets in front of everybody and he pulls out this card. It's not a piece of paper now. It's a card. It's 3.5 by 5. And it says on the card, it says, this year, I just want to have my health back. Just a few weeks prior to that, had been diagnosed with cancer. And they told him that he had 3 months to live. You see, when you have your health, you have many wishes. But when you don't, you only have one. You just want to get your health back. And this is really what I want to pray over all of you here tonight. Right? Not only for you to just have your health, but to be the best version of yourself that you can be, so you can fulfill the calling that God has put on your life. You follow me? And that's really what this is all about. It's way more than just say, hey, I feel fine. There's way more for you. Does that make sense? So they're going to be bringing the food. Usually Dr. Denise, oh, she's right. She's right there. She's going to boss us around, or me around. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't say that. She's not listening. Dr. Denise is my wife. Can she raise your hand? This is Dr. Denise. We have lots of people on our team here. I want to pray for you, but I just want to tell you all the people we have on our team. We have Pat right here. She's in pink. Pat is in pink. Pat does everything here, so I cannot describe her job because I don't think I have one. And then we have Joy. Joy is sitting right next to her. This is Joy. She's going to come around the table. So I did not tell you this, but she's going to come around the table. So some of you here, if you know how to use a QR code, because you might have wondered, how I'm going to do this, you can just scan this QR code. If you don't know how to do this, no problem. Joy's going to come around and she'll help you out. Those appointments, they can be scheduled at either one of her offices. They can be right here at Gilead, or they can be at her friend or office. You follow me? Going to come around the table. They're going to help you out. That's Joy. In the back right here, we have Liz. Liz, say hi to us. Liz has made it for more than a week in my office. That's a miracle. She's putting up with me so far. She's doing a great job. So say hi. And then here we have Matt is operating the camera. Say hi to Matt. Matt is helping us out here at Gilead to put the words out, and in the near future. And we've been doing this now since 2017, but we have classes here on a monthly basis, which most people don't know that. Anybody can come into any classes. We have people coming from around the world to teach about healing and health and wellness. As of last month, we have a medical doctor here. His name is Dr. Nebling. He's going to have a class at the end of June. He's already done one. She says he's great. I'm not supposed to say this young lady's name, but her name is Deb. And she didn't want me to put her up on the. So I'm going to pray for the food. They're going to bring the food in. No, you're going to go get it out this door, and then you're going to come back through this door. We're going to make a circle, right? So we're not running on each other. And then if you have some questions, I'll be able to answer a few questions, and then I'm going to be zooming out of here so you can eat, and I'm not going to be watching what you're putting in your body. You follow me? Okay, so she will not take the bread, okay? So that's a good start because I'm taking notes. So let's go ahead. Now, it's a tricky just to see how you guys are doing. So Father, thank you, Lord, for this evening. Thank you for all the people that are here in this room tonight. I just pray, Lord, that if any of this that came out of my mouth tonight, it was from you, that it will stick. And I pray that this is not just information that came out of me, but also for people to take the next step. And information with no action does not lead to transformation. So I pray, Lord, that you continue to allow those seeds to grow as it relates to everyone here in this room. What's their next step as it relates to their health journey? And for them to be clear on this desire that, number one, there's more for them, that you have more for each and every one here in this room. And I just pray that you just continue to just show this to people, that you show this to everyone here in this room tonight, that you show them exactly what's next for them and how big the calling is on their life, that there's more for them. However, having more for them without their health, it's going to be hard to accomplish. So I just pray, Lord, that you just show them You show each and every one of them here in this room what needs to be done clearly, the effort that needs to be put in, right, in order for them to get to where they need to be. And we just want to say thank you for this food tonight. We just pray for the people that have made it. We just pray for this food that is about to nourish your body in Jesus' name. Okay. Dr. Denise, can I send everybody? We're going to start here with this first table, the second table here, out this door right here. Right? Did I do this right? Yes, let's do this. We're going to go right out this door. And then after that, we're going to have this table right here. Jane, Luke, the bathrooms are right there, sir. Right out this door. And Judy.